Hello, this is RICKY, the Android guy. Hey guys, today I'm bringing you a side-by-side camera comparison between the HTC One and the Galaxy S4. Let's check out which one really is the best camera in Android. Alright guys, so first part of this camera comparison, let's go to the actual cameras themselves, just to give you a brief layout overview of each camera, and then we'll go to the actual photos and videos that these cameras produced. So let's check them both out. And let's see them. Let's change that. Okay, now first we'll go over the HTC One, and then we'll go over the Galaxy S4. So for the HTC One, you have a very simplified layout from the start, but then if you want to change things, it's kind of a little bit more complex. So first thing right here, we do have the camera button and the video button. A nice thing, you do not have to toggle between these two. That is one thing both these phones did that was really annoying on older Android phones. You had to toggle between video and toggle to photo if you wanted to take each respective shot. On your review for your photos, they're right there. Your zoom, as you can see, is right here. So zooming up, and touch to focus is still enabled, of course. And the rocker doesn't do anything in the camera, so it can't allow you to such as take a photo or to zoom in or out. Flash is right here at the top, and this is the Zoe feature, which basically kind of takes a photo and video and kind of makes a collage for you. We'll go over that later. So that's some of the basics. And then over here on the bottom, we have your little cool effects. Now, some of them are really cool, like, you know, an inverted kind of look, or basically you can, I don't know if you can move it around, or yeah, so you can kind of move around where the incline is, so it's kind of a cool effect. You can do like a old school photo kind of look. There's just a lot of these you can actually do in terms of different things. The only thing I wish that they did actually give you some kind of walkthrough on these features, because for the novice photographer, just, you know, someone that doesn't really know what these things are, you know, they might just take it if it looks cool, but they're not going to know how to really take a full advantage of it, especially things like, you know, these kind of ones. You're just not going to know these kind of ones unless you really already know about it. So yeah, so that's just one thing that I wish they would have done, changed a little bit. And the other one is, for one, I like a quick toggle between front and rear camera, and the only way to really do it is just right here. You have to go into the menu settings themselves and just tap that, and then it'll switch around. So that is how you do switch it. And also from here we have a couple of different things. So you can go from normal to landscape to backlight to text to macro. You do have a night mode, although in the HTC I must say night versus regular normal scene doesn't do anything. I've done it on multiple occasions and it's pretty much the same exact shot. So I mean, I don't know if it actually adjusts for night or the HTC One just kind of always is set for low light because of the ultra pixel. HDR, of course, and then sleep panorama. And then you have the self timer. It's automatically cropped to wide out of the box. You can do it regular, which is a 4:3, or you can do square, which is a 3:4. But let's just leave it at wide for these purposes. And you do have full 1080p video. You can, of course, review it. On the image adjustments, it's more for changing exposure and contrast and things like that. You have ISO, white balance, continuous shooting, so if you just hold down the photo button, it will continuously shoot. Other camera options, you have face detection, auto smile capture, and geotagging available. Lock focus in video, grid, and auto upload. It's important to note the auto upload really only kind of works with their Flickr service right now. At least it does not work with Google Plus, which is what I usually use. I'm sure that it most likely works with Dropbox. Those are the three main ones that everyone uses. But it's kind of gearing you towards Flickr because that's who they have a partnership with. So that's the layout for the HTC camera. And now for the Galaxy S4 camera. So the Galaxy S4, first thing, of course, they do also have, again, so you do not have to toggle between the two. So you do have photo and camera right there. You also have this button right here, which is all of their filters. Now see, I do like this that they actually name what the filters are, just so you actually know the types you're taking, and just getting a kind of an idea of it. Also, you get a full live preview, which is kind of nice too. And I think they both have that, actually, to be fair. No, actually, this did not have that. So that's just one thing, that you do have a live preview of it. And you have your review right down here at the bottom left. And then over here, you do have a mode section. Now the nice thing again about the modes is that it kind of walks you through what each mode does. And there is a lot of nifty modes. Important to note, things like drama shot, animated shot, and eraser shot can basically be done, or sorry, not animated shot, but eraser shot and drama shot can be done on the HTC, but in editing. So you can do that after the photo is taken generally, but not before, if that makes sense. So while this one you have to set the photo to be like this, but at least you do get to see it right away. As where, so it's, I kind of like that, you know, I can set it then, but I would say for like drama, if I don't want to, I don't necessarily need to be able to edit it unless I know I'm doing a drama shot, which is just kind of like a multiple photo taking. However, for eraser, I would say I like the idea of doing the eraser shot after on the HTC One instead of during. It just makes more sense for an eraser to be after. So a couple different things, and you can flip it to grid mode once you know these features inside and out, but for those of you just starting off, you should have this simple mode. Also for the front camera switching, you can just really toggle right there, so just a lot easier to switch for front camera and rear camera. Of course, you do have Samsung's dual shot, which is allows you to take a photo and be in it at the same time. So you do have that ability. The nice thing that I realized is not only can you like change them and everything like that, but the cool thing is you can actually make the reverse the opposite too. So the front camera can be what you're looking at, or the back camera can be what you're looking at. So that's kind of cool. Other than that, you do have your rest of your settings right here. So if you hit this little section right here, you get a couple of different settings. One is your flash. The second thing is this auto night detection, which we'll talk about later because this plays a major role in the low light comparison between these two phones. The voice commands turn on or off, so you can take a photo. If you notice, it was taking a couple photos earlier, and that's just because I said something like shoot or smile or cheese, and then it takes photos doing when I say those kind of things. On the video part, actually on the video you can do that too on the HTC One. It's under settings, and sorry, I just want to make sure. Sorry, I'm trying to remember where it was. Photo capturing, video capturing. So on both of these you can actually do fast motion and slow motion on both of these. The one cool thing the HTC had to above this one is that it does have the video full HDR, so which is kind of a cool feature if you're trying to, if it's in like a dark area and you're really trying to get the right exposure. And of course you can also do the limit to MMS, so it's a pretty small file. And then you have your auto sharing features for different scenarios. So for a share shot, if you have another S4, S3, Note 2, or even like the Express and things like that, you can actually automatically share between your friends that have this phone. Buddy photo sharing, it's just basically if the person you have face tagged at one point is in the shot, you can automatically send it to them, and then some others. For these settings over here, we have a couple of different ones. We do have burst mode on, so again, you can just hold down the photo button and take multiple photos. You have face detection, weight, center weight. Let me turn that off. If you turn auto night detection off, then you can do anti-shake, which is your digital stabilization. Important to note, this has optical image stabilization. It says digital image stabilization, and that'll play a role in the videos later. And of course, you can do video stabilization as well. And the nice thing about this is that the volume keys can be used for both zooming and to take a photo or take a video. So I like it to be set to take a photo. That way, if I'm doing any kind of photo like this, I can just actually hit the hit the volume rocker to take the photo. It does have geotagging as well, review, white balance, exposure levels. Of course, we do have voice control and flash, and you can turn the shutters on or off, which is also a nice feature. Alright, so those are some of the basics on the layouts. Now let's take a look at the photos they used. So for this comparison, we're going to do a couple of different ones. First, just kind of the everyday outdoor photos, and then we're going to go through low light because that's a big one, and then of course videos. So let's take a look at first photos. So in terms of photos, we're going to see a bit of the differences between these two, and it just goes with their territory of what each manufacturer did for their camera. Now these are both brightness all the way up, so hopefully you can see them. Now the HTC, one important thing to know is you cannot zoom in past a certain extent, just because it does know that there will be more pixels, so it kind of stops you, whereas the S4 can't go in closer, just because it's 13 megapixels, so it doesn't kind of fear anything when it comes to showing pixels or anything like that. So in terms of the shot, as you can see right here, a couple of differences right away. One thing that I noticed is outside, the HTC One tends to overexpose shots, meaning that it lets more light through, so it's actually unrealistic colors. And what I mean by that is the colors are actually closer to here, to what this plant was outside, than it is on here. So this kind of makes it look like it's kind of like a dying plant rather than a flourishing plant. I mean, this is spring, it's really just blossoming right now. So it definitely shows the difference in terms of how light is done. Also, obviously, clarity. You can see more details in the leaves and the flower between the two. And then if we move over here to the ground, we kind of see another difference between the two. And that is that if you can actually see, hopefully my camcorder is showing this okay, you really get a good depth with the S4 in comparison to the HTC One. The HTC One kind of tends to blend in colors so they're kind of the same, whereas on the S4 you're kind of getting a shadow and sunlight. So you kind of get just a better depth of your photo, definitely. And as a photographer, that's really important for me because I need to be able to see those kinds of differences. Zoomed out, though, they both look fine. So that's one important thing to know too. It's like, zoomed out, they're going to look fine. On like a Facebook image, they might look fine. If you put it on full screen, you might notice a little bit of pixelation depending on what your monitor is. Just because, this is a 1080p screen, and if we zoom in twice, we're already seeing, that it's just not as clear. So if you're pinching the zoom on a tablet or on a 1080p phone, that starts to show, as well as if you're cropping a lot. If you just wanted to crop out this section of self, you're already kind of not getting the same clarity that you would be getting on a 13 megapixel for that reason. So that's going to be one thing. So in terms of clarity. Now, actually, since we're over here, let's go to the video portion, because this actually is pretty interesting in how the video compared between the two. Now, I'm going to try to sync these up. It's a little difficult sometimes, and I think this one's already higher. And I'm going to put this about halfway volume. Oops. And a little bit less than halfway. of these.
Hello, this is RICKY, the Android guy. Hey guys, so today bringing you a nice comparison video between the Galaxy S4 and the HTC One. So right now we're just kind of seeing, it's a very, very bright sunny day, so just kind of going around and seeing how everything looks, and seeing how the panning moves, and how everything moves from objects. So, very nice video here, and just seeing how everything handles and how the words are being spoken, and if it can pick up my mic. A little bit windy here, and if the output will look good and stable on both devices. Alright, let's see how they look.
Okay, so a couple of things I wanted to point out. So this is a good part to point things out. So first of all, we notice a couple of differences. Let's go over the pros for each phone. So both obviously show video very well. Clarity is just really good on both videos, very clear. In terms of stabilization, it will go to the HTC One. It really shows that it's an optical image stabilization compared to the digital image stabilization compared on the S4. In terms of color, however, and a little bit on clarity, it will go to the S4. Just in this part alone, you can actually see the color on here where you cannot see any color. Again, HTC tends to kind of wash out in bright areas. I've noticed there's just no depth to it. Again, in just things like shadows, you don't really see, you see kind of a brighter image than what it actually is. It overexposes it. Just one thing noticed comparing the two videos. In terms of so because HTC has a bit better stabilization though, you're also doing a little bit of panning better, whereas this has some artifacting, which means kind of like movement between when you're going around. It's just more fluid on the HTC One compared to the S4. Not that the S4 is bad, but it's just you can definitely see a little bit more smoothness on this one. Last thing I wanted to point out was the noise cancellation from the mics, especially because this was a windy area. On the S4, we were actually able to pick up no wind on it throughout the video. However, on the HTC One, it wasn't bad, but we could pick up a little bit of wind on it. So that's one important thing to note, that this does pick up wind a little bit more compared to the S4. So if it's really windy, then it's going to be a problem. I live in LA, not as much wind, but just one thing that you want to be careful with. If you're ever in a windy area, you will be not picked up as well with the HTC One as you would with the S4. And now let's go to the low light comparison. So remember, I told you we were going to see a difference in low light because of one feature called auto night detection that we showed on the S4. Now, let me actually turn air gestures off. Now, one reason why that's so important is, let me show you the differences between those. So, this is our closet here in the studio. And obviously this looks like a big difference, right? So here's the thing. Let me actually turn off these lights so you can see the photos a little bit better. Alright. So, this would obviously easily beat the S4. Because, I mean, look at this low light difference, just a lot brighter, right? In comparison to this, like noisy, it's very dark, doesn't look appealing at all. Well, this is with auto night detection off. However, as soon as you turn auto night detection on the S4, that is what you get. Now let's take a look at this again. If we actually zoom in, we can actually see that the S4 is a lot clearer and a lot less noisy compared to the HTC. Just a lot clearer and a lot better detail. And so, to be fair, I did 5 low light photos to kind of compare these two in terms of low light. So this was the first one that we did. and obviously the S4 is clearly the winner. As also, I noticed in a couple of these, and I'll go over this, of course, but color seems to never be truly correct, except in the one low light photo that we took on the HTC One compared to the S4. The S4 always gives kind of like truer color, whereas on this particular photo, it gave a green tint kind of thing. But so that was our first low light one. Now let's go over our second one. Now, for this one, I do want to point out one thing. So the S4, the S4 is a bit clearer on this one. I'll go over a couple things. But because I didn't want to be biased, I actually took 3 different photos of the HTC One, or sorry, with the HTC One. This one was really pixelated, like you couldn't make anything out. It was just like really not as good. So I took another one. And I took another one. This one was kind of even worse. And then so I took the third one, which this one seemed to be the best of all of them. So now we're going to go with this, and we're going to pinch to zoom right here on this. So easily, of course, in terms of low light, we can easily make out the S4 a lot better in comparison to the HTC One. In terms of how the image kind of accepted the light, this one, they're both in a yellow lighting, obviously, but this one kind of overtook the yellow to kind of make it that all that it saw, the lens kind of flaring to it. On the S4, I was a little bit off from the photo, but obviously it just it still got a little bit of it in there. But however, it just really, we can see, especially like the sign on the left side right here, a lot clearer. So it just did a better compensation for the light. So that's the S4 2, HTC 0 for now. Now on the next one, however, oops, wrong way. All right. On the next one, I kind of don't know which is the better one. So let's take a look. So first of all, on the HTC One, you can actually see this was out of the club. You can actually see like the mirror very clearly in the back. You can actually even see like a TV in the back right there, and 2 lights, as well as a little bit of the pattern on the seats right there. As where you cannot almost see that at all on the S4. You really can't see it. You can see the railing right there, but that's about it. However, when we go to the light itself, we can clearly see the S4 is a lot more detailed on that. So that's kind of interesting, because the S4, I would say, definitely shows more detail on this one than this one did, in comparing to just the quality. However, we can see more low light with this one. So I'm going to call that a draw. You can see more low light with this one, but this one's definitely the clearer one. So let's go to the next one. And that's this one. So for this one was kind of interesting, because I would say the color on the HTC One, like, it made it look like there was no post light right here, because the post light did have a yellow tint on here, whereas here it kind of looks like a white tint, but it, it makes it look like it was like daylight. But I think it just kind of really did poorly with that lighting, and this is why, because of that flare, again, it kind of messed up a lot of the photo, especially in the clarity. So if we take a look at the garage door, we can see a lot more clarity in the S4 versus the One. So for this one, I will give, I kind of feel that for clarity overall is a little bit better, and both are appropriate lighting, although again, the HTC One is doing a little bit better in the light, but the clarity is just better here. So it's kind of based on you guys' preference. But I mean, you can even call this a tie again if you want. We'll see. And then the last one that we just did before I got into the studio. And that's this one. So for this one, it was just, parked outside and kind of just like saw here. And we definitely could see a huge difference in the HTC One versus the S4. And on this one, clarity isn't saving the S4 because there's a very small clarity difference. Neither one is really an amazing looking low light. I was seeing like the bars. I was trying to see, something that stood out, but none was like ideally clear to begin with. So this one would easily go to the HTC One just for picking up better low light right here. But none is really perfect on either one. Again, clarity isn't there really for the most part for either one. But I would just give it a slight clarity, even difference benefit from the HTC One on this one more likely. Although neither one you would show off or anything like that. So out of all of the low light comparisons, just to recap, the HTC One won this one. This one goes to the S4 just for a lot better clarity and not kind of getting like a flare from the lighting as the HTC One did. On this one, I would call it a tie, although this does take more lighting into it. This one is easily clear. I mean, just a lot clearer in comparison to this one. The clarity is just definitely there. This one, again, I took 3 shots just to make it as fair as I could because I wanted a clear shot. But still, the HTC One just was not going to beat the S4 on this. And finally, of course, the first one, which was here. Alright guys, so that was the camera comparison between the HTC One and the Galaxy S4. What did you guys think? Especially for the low light, because that was HTC's big feature against every camera out there, really. In terms of like they're both their highlight features, both you can basically get both with third-party apps on this one. There's an app called Dual Camera to get the dual camera from the S4, and there's an app called Magnisto or something like that to get video, which like I had made earlier. So it's like the same thing as like the Zoe thing. Lots of fun stuff with those kind of things. But overall, just like your overall camera preference, which one would you go for? Would you go for the HTC One or would you go for the Galaxy S4? Let me know in the comments down below, and please give a like or thumbs up if you found this video helpful. Thank you for watching. This has been RCKY, the Android Guy.